Part 1, The Invitation. The galaxy had been at war for almost 100 years. Worlds had burned, alliances had broken, and countless civilizations had vanished into dust. Yet through it all, humanity had survived. They were not the oldest or strongest race in the stars, but they were the most determined. Every species that faced them in battle learned the same lesson. Humans never gave up. When the Galactic Concord finally announced a peace summit, the news spread faster than light. The great powers of the galaxy were invited to sign a treaty that would end all wars. The message carried promises of unity, trade, and safety for every world. For many, it was a moment of hope. But for the humans, it was a moment of doubt. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the bridge of the UNS Resolute, humanity's flagship. The message from the Concord replayed on the holoscreen before him. The Chancellor's voice was smooth, too calm, too polite. Rourke had fought too many battles to trust such easy words. Still, duty demanded that humanity answer the call. Behind him, Commander Ava Lynn spoke softly. "It could be real this time, sir. A chance to stop fighting." Rourke folded his arms. "Maybe. Or maybe it's another trick to make us drop our guard." He looked out the wide viewing window at the stars. Beyond them lay GalacticPrime, the Concord's shining capital and the site of the peace talks. Around it, hundreds of ships from different species were already arriving, forming a glowing ring of light in orbit. Humanity couldn't ignore such a gathering. The United Earth Council voted to attend. After all, if peace was truly possible, they had to try. But they also knew history. Peace offers often hid daggers. So when the fleet departed, they carried more than diplomats and gifts. Beneath the formal uniforms and banners of peace, they packed plasma rifles, combat drones, and armored suits. Their ships were loaded with smart torpedoes and railgun slugs, each disguised under false energy readings. The humans had a saying now: "We go in peace, but we prepare for war." As the Resolute traveled through slip space, the crew felt both excitement and unease. Some dreamed of ending the long wars. Others sharpened their blades, certain they would need them soon. The bridge hummed with quiet energy, every console alive with activity. Lieutenant Vega monitored the scanners. "Captain, multiple fleets converging on the rendezvous point. I count over 200 ships from the Concord's core races." "Any sign of weapons targeting us?" Rourke asked. "None, sir. Not yet." Rourke nodded slowly. "Keep our sensors passive. Let's not give them an excuse to call us aggressive." In the communications bay, a group of diplomats practiced their speeches. They wore bright uniforms with the symbol of Earth, a blue sphere with white wings. The oldest of them, Ambassador Hayes, approached Rourke later. "Captain, the Council believes this summit is genuine," Hayes said. "The Concord wouldn't risk inviting every major power only to betray them." Rourke smiled faintly. "You'd be surprised how many leaders think betrayal is diplomacy." Hayes frowned. "You think it's a trap?" "I think," Rourke said, turning to face the stars again, "that no one invites humanity to a peace table unless they've already planned where we sit and how we fall." Days later, the fleet exited slip space near the Varan system. Immediately, sensors flared to life. The Concord's defense grid surrounded the planet like a glowing net of satellites and energy fields. Alien voices filled the communication channels, directing incoming ships. "Unidentified Terran vessel. Transmit authorization code." "This is Captain Elias Rourke of the Terran Defense Fleet," Rourke answered calmly. "We come in peace per the Concord's invitation." "Authorization confirmed," replied a cold mechanical voice. "You are cleared to enter orbit." The Resolute glided into position above GalacticPrime. Below them, the planet shone like a jewel. Oceans of silver, continents covered with vast cities and golden lights. From orbit, it looked like a paradise, but Rourke's instincts whispered that beauty often hid danger. "Scan the surrounding space," he ordered quietly. Vega frowned at her screen. "Sir, I'm picking up strange readings. Faint energy spikes, unregistered signatures 50,000 kilometers out." "Ships. Could be cloaked vessels," Vega said. "Their emission patterns are inconsistent with Concord patrols." Rourke's jaw tightened. "Mark the coordinates. Don't alert anyone. Let's see how deep this goes." Later that night, in the officers' wardroom, the senior crew gathered for a briefing. The room was dimly lit, the stars outside casting soft light through the glass panels. "We have reason to believe the Concord may be preparing something," Rourke began. "I won't call it treachery yet, but I don't trust them." Ava Lynn leaned forward. If it's a trap, why invite every species? That's too risky. Rourke pointed to a hologram showing the Concorde fleet's formation. Not every species, only the ones who fought them. If they eliminate the most dangerous militaries in one blow, they could rule uncontested. The room fell silent. The theory made sense and frightened them all. Ambassador Hayes finally spoke. You can't accuse them without proof. If you act rashly, they'll say humanity is violent again. I'm not planning to accuse anyone, Rourke said. I'm planning to watch. We'll attend the summit, smile, and shake hands, but every squad will stay alert. If they make a move, we'll be ready. He looked around the table, meeting each officer's eyes. We represent all of humanity. We will not start a fight, but if they want one, we will finish it. The crew nodded solemnly as the Resolute drifted in orbit. The Concorde's majestic flagship, the Aurora Crown, transmitted the official invitation to land. The peace ceremony would begin in 2 days. The humans prepared. Soldiers polished their armor beneath their ceremonial cloaks. Engineers double-checked their drone systems. Pilots whispered quiet jokes to hide their nerves. In the cargo bay, a group of Marines loaded sealed crates marked diplomatic supplies. Inside each crate rested pulse rifles, energy shields, and compact railguns. They were ready for both peace and war. Meanwhile, Sarah, the ship's artificial intelligence, monitored every signal. She was a calm, steady voice, but even she detected irregularities. Captain, she said softly over the bridge intercom, there are encrypted transmissions between Concorde defense satellites. Their timing suggests coordination. Coordination for what? Rourke asked. Unknown, but the pattern matches tactical synchronization. Rourke nodded slowly. Keep decoding. Don't alert them. Yes, Captain. On the eve of the summit, Rourke stood alone on the observation deck. Below him, VeranPrime's night side glowed faintly. Fleets of alien ships orbited peacefully, or appeared to. The galaxy's dream of peace was within reach, yet his gut refused to calm. He thought about Earth, about the people who had suffered and sacrificed to build the fleet now hanging above a foreign world. Humanity had fought for survival against impossible odds, diseases, disasters, and wars. They had learned to adapt, to overcome, to never surrender. Peace, he murmured, isn't something you're given. It's something you earn. Behind him, Commander Lin approached quietly. Can't sleep? Never can before a mission, he said. She smiled faintly. You think this will end badly? I hope it doesn't, he admitted. But if it does, I'll be ready. She nodded. We all will. Hours later, the human delegation boarded their shuttle to the surface. The craft glided through shimmering clouds toward the Grand Concorde Hall, a massive structure of crystal and light that stretched into the sky. Around it, banners of 100 species fluttered in the artificial wind. The humans walked out in perfect formation, ambassadors in front, guards behind. Alien dignitaries stared as they passed, whispering to one another. Humanity's reputation as fierce warriors had spread far. Some respected them, others feared them. At the entrance, the Concorde's chancellor greeted them with a warm smile. Welcome, Captain Rourke. The galaxy thanks humanity for choosing peace. Rourke bowed slightly. Humanity always chooses peace, he said evenly. But we never forget how to defend it. The Chancellor's smile faltered for just a second. Back aboard the Resolute, Sarah continued her silent work. The strange encrypted signals grew stronger. After hours of analysis, she began to piece together fragments of code, hidden commands, layered beneath the summit's communication network. She transmitted a quiet message to Rourke's wrist display. Possible threat detected. Origin, Veran command grid, further data incoming. Rourke read the message as the ceremony began. Around him, alien leaders gave speeches about unity and hope. Applause echoed through the great hall, yet his eyes never stopped scanning the shadows, the guards, the cameras. Every smile looked rehearsed. Every promise felt hollow. He turned slightly toward Commander Lin. Stay sharp, he whispered. Something's coming. Far above, in orbit, the Resolute's scanners caught another faint signal. Multiple cloaked ships shifting position, closing in. The peace summit had begun. And so had the danger. End of Part 1. Part 2. The gathering storm, the peace summit on VeranPrime, was in full swing. The Concorde Hall gleamed like a jewel beneath the twin moons, its walls of crystal refracting the soft artificial light into dancing patterns across the polished floors. Delegates from dozens of species mingled, exchanging bows, gestures, and ceremonial gifts. The air smelled faintly of exotic flowers imported from distant worlds, and soft music from alien instruments filled the grand hall. Everything was designed to feel perfect. Everything was designed to distract. Humanity's delegation moved carefully among the other guests. Ambassador Hayes offered polite smiles and diplomats shook hands with elegant precision, but behind their calm exteriors the humans were always alert. Captain Elias Rourke and Commander Ava Lynn stayed just slightly behind, their eyes scanning every corner, every guard, every camera. "This place is too quiet," Lynn muttered, leaning close to Rourke as they moved through a corridor lined with holographic displays of the galaxy's history. "Everything here feels staged," Rourke's eyes narrowed. "That's the point. When everything looks safe, you stop looking. That's when they strike." Across the hall, the Concord Chancellor floated down from a small levitation platform, her robe shimmering like liquid light. Every movement was graceful, calculated, designed to command attention. She smiled at the assembled crowd, her voice carrying across the hall without strain. "Welcome, leaders of the galaxy. Today we gather not as enemies but as friends. Let our peace last for generations." The delegates applauded politely. The humans clapped as well, though their hands were steady, controlled. Rourke's eyes never left the Chancellor. Meanwhile, back in orbit, the Resolute hummed quietly. Lieutenant Vega sat at the tactical console, monitoring long-range scans. The readings had become stranger in the last few hours. "Captain," Vega said, leaning closer to her screen, "I'm seeing encrypted signals coming from the Concord satellites. They're faint, but they match military coordination protocols." Rourke's hand brushed the edge of the console. "Are they trying to coordinate their fleet?" "Possibly," Vega said. "But the signals are not for fleet coordination, they're targeting us. I think they're sending commands to disable our systems." Rourke clenched his jaw. "Prepare countermeasures. Keep it quiet. We don't want to give them a reason to act until we know their plan." At that moment, Sarah, the ship's AI, chimed in softly. Her voice was calm, but Rourke felt the familiar edge of urgency behind it. "Captain, I've isolated the signal. It is definitely a command sequence directed at our vessels. It is designed to deactivate critical systems during the summit." Rourke nodded slowly. "So the peace treaty is a trap." Sarah's holographic form flickered beside him. "That is a logical conclusion based on the data, Captain. Immediate defensive preparation is advised." Rourke turned to Commander Lynn. "Make sure all squads are ready but remain in ceremonial positions on the planet. No sudden moves. Let them show their hand first." Lynn's lips pressed together. "Understood. Everyone stays in place, but we're ready." Back in the hall, the humans continued to participate in the summit. Ambassador Hayes listened to alien speeches, occasionally nodding, occasionally asking questions. The humans were polite, careful not to draw attention, but every glance and gesture was purposeful. They learned quickly which factions were friendly, which were hostile, and which were indifferent. Rourke, meanwhile, observed the hall's security measures. Guards were heavily armed and highly disciplined. The humans noticed patterns, which exits were watched, which doors were sealed, how often the cameras rotated. It was subtle but important. Humanity had survived countless wars by noticing small details others overlooked. A whisper reached Rourke's ear from one of the human observers stationed discreetly in a balcony above the hall. "Sir, there's something unusual about the Chancellor's retinue. Several guards are cloaked, but their energy signatures match those of assault units." Rourke's expression hardened. "They're hiding soldiers among diplomats. Not subtle at all." He leaned back slightly and allowed a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Let's see how bold they really are." Hours passed, and the summit seemed to go smoothly. The delegates signed minor agreements, exchanged gifts, and made speeches praising peace. Humans appeared polite, diplomatic, and cooperative, but in the background, every human soldier, technician, and officer was ready. Sensors were checked, weapons were on standby, and drones remained in concealed positions, hovering invisibly above the hall. Sarah worked quietly, decoding more of the encrypted commands. "Captain, the code is sophisticated. Whoever designed it assumed the Terran fleet would remain passive. The plan is to immobilize your vessels at the exact moment of the Chancellor's main speech. Then we don't remain passive," Rourke said sharply. "Prepare contingency protocols. I want every drone armed, every railgun online, every squad ready to act within seconds." "Yes, Captain," Sarah replied. At that moment, Vega reported from orbit. "Captain, I'm detecting cloaked vessels moving into attack positions. They are not registered with the Concord fleet. They are hiding, waiting for a trigger. Rourke's eyes narrowed, just as I expected. Keep monitoring. Don't engage until I give the order. On the surface, human diplomats noticed tension rising among other species. Whispers moved through the hall like invisible currents. Some alien delegations exchanged nervous glances. Others stared at the humans with suspicion, but no one could challenge them. Humanity's reputation had spread across the galaxy. They were known to survive impossible odds, and they were fearless. As the Chancellor ascended the platform for her keynote speech, Rourke's comm link vibrated softly in his ear. He pressed a button connecting to Sarah. "Status," he whispered. "Preparations are complete," Sarah replied. "All systems are ready. I predict a trigger event within minutes of the Chancellor's speech." Rourke nodded. "Good, stay ready. We may not get a warning." The Chancellor's voice echoed throughout the hall, smooth and confident. "Let us unite under one vision of peace. Let us put aside the conflicts of the past. Humanity, your courage has brought you here today, and I commend your efforts." Rourke smiled faintly. Too smooth. Too calm. Lynn leaned close. "What do you mean?" "They expect us to relax at words like that. They think we'll lower our guard," he said. "Humans never relax. Not until they see the truth." Just then, Sarah's voice sounded quietly over his earpiece.
"Captain..."
"Anomaly detected. Energy dampeners activating. Your ship's mobility is being restricted." Rourke's eyes flicked to the view of Varan Prime from the hall's observation window. Tiny dots, almost invisible, shifted above the planet. Cloaked ships, perfectly aligned, waiting. "They triggered it," he said quietly. "It's the start." Lynn's hand went to her sidearm, though she knew the real weapons remained hidden beneath ceremonial robes. "Then we strike?" Rourke shook his head. "Not yet. Let them make the first move. We are prepared and we are patient. That will be their mistake." The delegates applauded politely at the Chancellor's words. The humans clapped in unison, a perfect image of respect. Yet every human in the room was ready. Soldiers moved subtly, adjusting positions and concealing weapons. Drones hovered in hidden corners, ready to defend or attack at a moment's notice. Even the simplest gestures were calculated, anticipating treachery. Outside, in orbit, the Resolute and accompanying ships remained tense. Sensors continued to track the cloaked enemy vessels. Every movement of the conquered fleet, every adjustment of shields, every shift in formation was noted and analyzed by Sarah. "Captain," Vega said, her voice tight, "if they attack now, they will be met with full Terran response. They won't disable us easily." Rourke nodded. "Good. Let them think the trap is working. Then we remind them why humans survive." Inside the hall, whispers continued to grow. Some delegations noticed oddities. Guards acting too precise, signals bouncing in strange ways, inconsistencies in the Chancellor's words. Some began questioning the Conquered's motives. For the humans, this was confirmation. Their instincts were right. The Peace Summit was a gathering storm. The calm, the smiles, the polite bows. It was all a facade. Rourke watched, waiting, calculating. Every detail mattered. Every moment could change the outcome. Humanity had come to this summit prepared for diplomacy, but also for war. They were patient, observant, and ready. And they knew one thing for certain. If the Concord planned to betray them, the humans would not go quietly. The gathering storm was building, and soon, the calm would shatter. End of Part 2I can continue with Part 3, where the trap is triggered and the first signs of battle erupt. That part will also be around 1,300 words, keeping the tension and HFY tone strong. Do you want me to continue with that? Part 3, The Trap Springs. The moment had come. The Chancellor's speech reached its peak, words of unity and harmony echoing across the grand hall. Delegates clapped politely, their faces fixed in courteous smiles. Every eye seemed to follow the Chancellor's every movement, and in that calculated attention she believed humanity would lower their guard. She had prepared her strike carefully, confident in the Concord's hidden advantage, but she had underestimated humans. Captain Elias Rourke and his officers had seen the signs, and their ships and soldiers were prepared for what was coming. High above Varan Prime, orbiting ships trembled under faint pulses of hidden energy. Vega's voice came over the comms in a quiet, urgent tone. "Captain, the energy dampeners are spreading. They're trying to lock our fleet in place. Mobility is decreasing by 15% every second." Rourke's jaw tightened. "Hold the line." "Don't panic. Sarah, initiate the countermeasures." The ship's AI immediately began unlocking the failsafe systems embedded in the Terran vessels. Hidden power circuits activated, and drones previously concealed within cargo bays surged to their launch positions. Railguns hummed quietly, energy shields flickered to life, and smart torpedoes rotated toward their targets. Humanity's war machine was invisible until the moment it was needed most. On the surface, Captain Rourke's team shifted subtly. Soldiers and Marines concealed beneath ceremonial cloaks revealed hidden armor beneath, panels clicking softly as exosuits powered online. Their weapons were carefully drawn, energy rifles aligning with sensors, targeting systems calibrating. The humans looked calm, polite, almost serene, but beneath the calm was lethal readiness. Then the Chancellor gave a subtle signal, a tilt of her hand. The Concord's hidden fleet decloaked. Hundreds of ships, previously invisible, appeared above the planet, forming a crescent around the human vessels. Energy beams danced across their hulls as targeting arrays locked onto the Terran fleet. Vega's eyes widened. "Captain, they've engaged targeting systems. They plan to disable us now." Rourke's voice was calm, controlled, like a sharp blade sliding through steel. "Then let them learn why humanity never goes quietly." The first salvo of enemy fire struck. Pulses of energy raked across the Resolute's shields, throwing sparks and shaking the bridge. Rourke's crew barely flinched. Sarah responded instantly, redirecting shield power and launching countermeasures that sent enemy missiles tumbling into the void. "Return fire," Rourke commanded. "Target their forward ships. Keep our formation tight. Don't break." The Resolute's railguns roared, piercing the enemy shields with precise bursts. Human drones swarmed forward, invisible until they struck, exploding against the Concorde ships with controlled fury. Within moments, several enemy vessels were disabled, drifting silently into space. Down on the surface, chaos erupted inside the Concorde Hall. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and emergency doors slammed shut. The Chancellor's security forces moved swiftly, but the human Marines had already anticipated such a moment. Drones hovered in hallways. Exosuit-clad soldiers took up positions behind pillars, and humans trained their weapons at every potential threat. Rourke spoke calmly through a concealed comm channel to his ground team. "Hold positions. Protect the diplomats. Disable threats without harming civilians if possible. Let the Concorde's treachery expose itself." The soldiers nodded, their movements precise and disciplined. Civilians screamed and ran, but human Marines guided them toward secure exits, forming protective lines. Every action was controlled, efficient, and professional. In orbit, Vega reported rapidly. "Captain, the enemy fleet is responding. They underestimated our readiness. Several ships are retreating, but more reinforcements are arriving." Rourke studied the holographic display of the battlefield. Sarah deployed drone swarms to flank the approaching vessels. "Focus on disabling propulsion first. Let them drift before finishing the fight." "Yes, Captain." Initiating flanking maneuvers. Drones surged from hidden compartments, weaving through space at incredible speed, striking the Concorde ship's engines and weapon arrays. The enemy fleet faltered and chaos rippled through their formations. Cloaked reinforcements uncloaked too late, exposing themselves to precision strikes from human railguns. Meanwhile, inside the hall, Ambassador Hayes and other human diplomats remained composed. They escorted panicked delegates to secure chambers while human soldiers neutralized threats with non-lethal force where possible. Laser pulses cut through doors and walls to disable security drones, and kinetic barriers protected humans and civilians alike. Every move was calculated to minimize harm while maximizing effectiveness. The Chancellor watched, astonished. Her perfect plan was unraveling before her eyes. The humans had anticipated every move, every trap, and every hidden weapon. Her soldiers were no match for the combined cunning and technology of humanity. She realized her mistake too late. Rourke's voice came over the hall's internal comm systems, calm but commanding. "You planned to trap us. You thought humanity would be paralyzed by diplomacy and ceremony. You were wrong. We come in peace, but we do not kneel." The sound of human discipline echoed throughout the Concorde Hall. Soldiers moved like shadows. Drones hovered like vigilant sentinels. And diplomats calmly coordinated civilian safety. Even as chaos raged, humanity maintained order. It was terrifying and inspiring to watch. The battle in orbit intensified. The Resolute and its fleet fired with controlled precision. Each strike disabled or incapacitated enemy ships without unnecessary destruction, showcasing human efficiency The conquered fleet, once confident in their ambush, now scrambled to regroup. Their coordination faltered under human counterattacks and their plan crumbled. Rourke spoke to Vega. "Track any retreating ships. Some may try to regroup and strike again." "Already on it, Captain. Several vessels are retreating beyond sensor range." "Good. Let them flee and live to tell the galaxy what happens when you underestimate humanity." Back on Varen Prime, the Chancellor's personal guards moved toward Rourke's team, attempting to regroup and strike at the heart of the human delegation. But human Marines were ready. Their targeting systems locked on instantly, and every ambush was neutralized before it could threaten civilians or diplomats. Drones provided support, intercepting attacks with split-second precision. The humans moved as one, a single well-oiled machine combining intelligence, discipline, and bravery. Rourke finally stepped forward, standing before the Chancellor herself. She was trapped in the center of the hall, her guards neutralized or retreating. Her expression was a mixture of shock and disbelief. She had believed her plan was flawless. She had believed humanity would be caught off guard. She had been wrong. "You could have avoided this," Rourke said quietly, his voice calm but cutting. "Peace is offered, yes, but trust must be earned. You chose deception." The Chancellor's voice trembled slightly. "We wanted stability. The galaxy must be controlled." "Control through betrayal is not peace," Rourke said. "And humanity will not be controlled." The conquered hall was now under human control. Every floor, every corridor, every threat had been neutralized. Civilians were safe and the human delegation remained intact. The first phase of the trap had failed spectacularly, and humanity had proven once again why they were feared and respected across the stars. Above, the remaining Concord fleet was in disarray. The hidden cloaked ships were either destroyed or retreating. Humanity had struck decisively but with restraint, showing not only their military skill but their discipline. They had defended themselves without succumbing to chaos, without harming innocents unnecessarily. It was a lesson in the balance between strength and honor. Rourke watched from the hall's observation balcony as the last conquered ship drifted away. He knew this was only the beginning. The Chancellor's ambitions had been thwarted for now, but the galaxy was vast and treachery would not rest. Humanity had survived the first strike, but they would have to remain vigilant. He turned to Lynn. "They thought peace was weakness. They learned it as strength, but the fight is not over. This was only the first wave." Lynn nodded. "And humanity will be ready." Rourke allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. "Good. Let the galaxy remember why humans survive when all else falls." Above Varen Prime, the stars seemed to shine brighter, reflecting the fires of conflict and the courage of a species that refused to be subdued. Humanity had faced the trap and they had survived, not just with weapons but with strategy, discipline, and determination. The war for Varen Prime had begun, and humanity would not yield. End of Part 3. I can continue with Part 4, 1300 words next, where the full-scale battle for Varen Prime unfolds on the ground and in orbit, keeping the HFY tone strong. Do you want me to continue with that? Part 4. The Battle for Varen Prime. The skies above Varen Prime were alive with fire and motion. Cloaked enemy ships had been forced to reveal themselves, and the conquered fleet was scattered and disorganized. Humans had turned what was meant to be a diplomatic ceremony into a battlefield, but with skill, precision, and restraint. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the Resolute's bridge, eyes scanning the shifting combat above and below the planet. Every decision mattered. Every second counted. "Captain," Lieutenant Vega said, her fingers flying over the console, "the remaining Concord fleet is trying to regroup near the southern orbit. They're preparing another strike, but our drones have them pinned." Rourke nodded. "Good. Sarah, prepare orbital bombardment on strategic nodes, but hold fire until I give the order. I want to minimize collateral damage." "Yes, Captain," Sarah replied calmly. "All targeting systems ready." Below, the human Marines were moving through the streets of Varen Prime's capital. The Concord's hidden ground forces had attempted to ambush the city during the summit, but humans were prepared. Soldiers in advanced exosuits patrolled methodically, guiding civilians to safe zones while intercepting hostile units. Their weapons were powerful, but discipline kept them from unnecessary destruction. Humanity fought with both courage and control. Captain Rourke's voice echoed through the human comm network. "All squads maintain perimeter. Protect the population. Neutralize Concord forces without endangering civilians. This is a precision operation. Squads moved with careful synchronization. Drones hovered silently above rooftops, providing real-time reconnaissance and scanning for hidden enemy positions. Energy shields were deployed to block potential blasts. Human soldiers advanced street by street, room by room, their movements precise and disciplined. Every enemy unit encountered was either captured or neutralized efficiently. In the capital's main square, Ambassador Hayes coordinated with alien diplomats, keeping them safe while ensuring they did not panic. His calm authority reassured terrified delegates, showing the difference between chaos and structured action. "We will not let fear control us," Hayes said to the assembly of delegates huddled in the reinforced chamber. "Humanity faces threats directly and protects the innocent. Stand with us calmly, and you will survive." Outside in the streets, Marines disabled automated security drones sent by the Concord to hunt humans and delegates. They used EMP bursts and precision shots to prevent damage to the city, demonstrating how humans could fight without unnecessary destruction. Civilians watched from safe areas, amazed at the humans' skill and restraint. Even in battle, they were composed and honorable. Meanwhile, the orbital fight continued. The Concord fleet was regrouping, but Sarah's calculations were flawless. Drones struck with perfect timing, disabling engines and weapons on key ships. The humans were always one step ahead, turning traps into opportunities. Rourke's calm leadership and strategic mind ensured that every maneuver was decisive. "Captain," Vega said, "they're attempting to board our ships with boarding pods. Several Concord ships are closing fast. Deploy countermeasures," Rourke ordered. "Intercept pods with drones and automated defenses. Keep our fleet intact. Humanity does not lose ground easily." Missiles intercepted pods mid-flight. Small drones swarmed, cutting the Concord boarding mechanisms in half. The fleet's organization remained unbroken and enemy morale faltered. Back on the ground, human Marines faced one of the most heavily armed enemy units yet. These soldiers were clad in power armor and carried energy shields, trained to eliminate the human delegation. But the humans had trained for every scenario. Captain Rourke had anticipated this confrontation. "Squad Delta," he instructed over comms, "flank from the west. Avoid unnecessary fire in the central plaza. Focus on immobilizing them and capturing their equipment." The squad moved swiftly, taking cover behind abandoned vehicles and reinforced walls. Energy pulses lit the streets as humans struck with both precision and restraint. Drones provided reconnaissance, and some small robots hacked into enemy armor, shutting down systems safely. The result was total neutralization of the threat without civilian casualties. In the orbital command center of the Concord fleet, panic began to spread. Their perfectly timed ambush had failed. Enemy ships were scattered, retreating, and many were drifting powerless in space. Cloaked reinforcements had arrived too late, and human counterattacks had disrupted the Concord's communications. Orders were delayed, coordination collapsed, and fear crept into the ranks. Back on Varan Prime, the human Marines advanced toward the heart of the Concord's operations in the capital. Rourke's orders were simple and effective. Capture key command centers, secure power nodes, and prevent any further attacks. Human strategy was flexible, adapting to every move of the enemy, always prioritizing the protection of civilians. In a narrow alleyway, Sergeant Malik led a team to disable a Concord energy hub. The hub powered shields protecting hidden enemy bunkers. Using a combination of precision explosives and electronic interference, the team neutralized the hub, exposing enemy forces to the humans' advantage. Within minutes, the hidden bunkers were surrounded and the enemy surrendered. Throughout the city, humanity's discipline and coordination became clear. Where the Concord relied on brute force and deception, humans combined intelligence, technology, and moral responsibility. Civilians were kept safe, enemy units were neutralized efficiently, and the humans maintained control of every strategic point. Captain Rourke monitored the progress from the observation balcony of a reclaimed building. The city was chaotic, but humans were the calm in the storm. Their drones swept rooftops, clearing threats, while ground teams moved in perfect synchronization. Each squad communicated silently through advanced comm devices, sharing real-time intelligence. The Concord forces were losing, not because of sheer firepower alone, but because humans adapted, thought ahead, and acted as one. "Vega," Rourke said. "Status report on remaining orbital forces." "Most are retreating, Captain. Only 5 ships remain in structured formation, but their morale is extremely low. They are trying to regroup for a final strike. Then let them regroup. We've taken the city. We control the streets, the command centers, and the civilians are safe. Let them see that humans fight with strength and honor. By evening, VeranPrime's capital was under human control. Energy fires burned in controlled zones where sabotage had been neutralized. Conquered soldiers had either surrendered or been disabled. Civilians cheered cautiously from behind barricades as Marines patrolled, ensuring no further danger remained. Captain Rourke addressed his team over the comms. Well done. You've shown the galaxy that humanity does not fall into traps, that we fight with intelligence, courage, and discipline. Today we protected life, defended diplomacy, and ensured peace is meaningful. Remember, this is only the beginning. The conquered may try again, but humanity will always be ready. Commander Lin added quietly. The delegates are safe. The city is under control, and the remaining enemy ships are scattered. The first lesson has been taught. Rourke smiled faintly. Yes, humanity teaches by example, not by fear. And today we've made the galaxy remember that. Above, the Resolute and accompanying fleet maintained orbit, ready for any resurgence of hostilities. Drone patrols continued to sweep for threats. Sarah analyzed communications from remaining conquered vessels, documenting every attempt at coordination. The humans had not only survived, they had turned an ambush into a demonstration of strategy and power. As night fell on VeranPrime, the twin moons reflected off the shattered glass and polished metal of the capital. Fires were under control, drones hovered silently, and human soldiers moved through the streets as protectors and enforcers of order. The citizens of VeranPrime had witnessed a new kind of military discipline, one that combined strength with restraint, courage with intelligence. The battle for the capital was over, but Captain Rourke knew this was only one step. The Conquered's ambitions were vast and the galaxy was far from safe. Yet humanity had proven a simple truth. Even in the face of deception and overwhelming odds, they would survive. And they would defend life, diplomacy, and freedom with everything they had. Above the planet, the stars shimmered like a witness to the victory. Humanity had brought their weapons, yes, but they had also brought their intelligence, discipline, and honor. And that combination made them unstoppable. End of Part 4. Can continue with Part 5, 1,300 words next, where the story reaches its conclusion, showing the aftermath of the battle, the impact on the galaxy, and humanity's lasting legacy. Do you want me to continue with that? Part 5. The Price of Peace. The sun rose over VeranPrime, casting soft light across a city still smoldering from the battle. Fires were contained, streets cleared, and the citizens cautiously emerged from their shelters. For the first time in decades, the people of this world looked upon humans not as potential threats, but as protectors. Humanity had arrived with diplomacy and been ready with strength, and both had saved countless lives. Captain Elias, Rourke stood on the observation balcony of the Conquered Hall. The city stretched beneath him, partially damaged but intact. He surveyed the aftermath. Drones patrolled silently, human Marines remained in formation, and citizens were guided to safe zones. The Conquered's forces had been defeated decisively. Many ships were destroyed in orbit, and the remaining enemy vessels fled, their morale shattered. Yet Rourke knew the fight was only the beginning. Commander Ava Lynn approached quietly, her steps silent on the polished floor. "They're calling for reinforcements," she said, indicating the scattered enemy ships attempting to regroup. "If we don't act, they might reorganize." Rourke shook his head. "Let them regroup. They've learned the lesson. Humanity does not yield to deception, and the galaxy has seen that today." In the central plaza, Ambassador Hayes addressed the rescued delegates. His voice carried authority, calm and steady. "Leaders of the galaxy," he began, "you have witnessed the truth. Peace cannot be demanded by force. Peace must be protected and trust must be earned. Today, humans have demonstrated not only strength but wisdom. They fought to protect life, not to destroy it." Delegates nodded solemnly, absorbing the reality. Many of them had seen the Concorde's betrayal firsthand, and the humans' discipline and courage had left a lasting impression. Messages spread across the galaxy. Humanity had survived an ambush meant to destroy them, and they had emerged victorious without needless bloodshed. Their reputation grew stronger than ever. Above the planet, the Resolute and the remaining fleet continued to patrol. Sensors scanned the surrounding space for stragglers, while drones monitored distant sectors for signs of remaining enemy forces. Sarah worked quietly, analyzing communication channels and recording every detail of the Concorde's failed assault. "Captain," Vega reported, "the Concord fleet is retreating beyond the outer perimeter. They are scattered and disorganized. Any attempt to regroup will take days." Rourke's eyes narrowed. "Good. Let the galaxy know that humans respond to treachery with intelligence and precision. Prepare communication broadcast to show the Concorde's actions and our response." Sarah acknowledged the order. Within moments, secure transmissions were sent across the galaxy, exposing the betrayal and broadcasting humanity's defense and protection of civilians. The message was clear: humanity could not be controlled or deceived. On the ground, human Marines continued clearing the city. Small pockets of resistance were handled swiftly, without unnecessary force. Civilians watched in awe as soldiers assisted in clearing rubble, tending to the injured and restoring basic utilities. The humans' focus on preserving life while maintaining order became a symbol of strength, tempered by honor. Captain Rourke moved through the city streets, personally checking on squads and ensuring the safety of civilians. He observed the faces of alien citizens. Fear had turned into cautious respect, and admiration for humanity's discipline began to grow. Every act of restraint, every calculated move in combat, had left a mark on their perception. In a temporary command center within Concord Hall, Rourke convened with senior officers. "Today we've proven a vital point. Humans do not bend under deceit, and we will fight to protect life, freedom, and diplomacy," he began. "But this is not the end. The galaxy has changed, and our presence here has shifted the balance of power." Commander Lin spoke next. "The remaining Concord forces may try retaliation. Their fleets are weakened, but their leaders may attempt guerrilla attacks or sabotage." Rourke nodded. "Then we remain vigilant. We protect, we defend, and we show the galaxy that humanity's strength is not only in weapons, but in preparation, intelligence, and honor." Sarah interjected. "Captain, I am analyzing potential threats across nearby sectors. Probability of immediate retaliation is low, but long-term threats remain. Continued surveillance is advised." "Agreed," Rourke replied. "Humanity's job is never done." News of the battle spread quickly. Across the galaxy, broadcasts showed humans defending GalacticPrime with efficiency, protecting civilians, and defeating the Concorde's treacherous forces. Many worlds had previously viewed humans as aggressive newcomers to the stars. Now they saw a species that combined courage, intelligence, and moral responsibility in equal measure. Humanity's reputation shifted from feared warriors to respected protectors. On Earth, people watched the transmissions with pride. For decades, humanity had struggled to gain recognition among the galaxy's established powers. Now their perseverance and discipline were evident for all to see. Children listened to the stories, learning that survival, strategy, and honor were as important as strength. Weeks after the battle, Captain Rourke addressed the Galactic Assembly. Hollow projections of the destroyed Concorde ambush fleet and the rescued delegates filled the chambers. His voice was calm, commanding, and firm. "Leaders of the galaxy," he began, "today we have demonstrated that peace is not a gift. It is earned and protected. Trust cannot be demanded by threats or deception. Humanity came in peace, but we were prepared, and we have shown that strength, discipline, and honor define us." Delegates listened in silence. Some were moved by his words, others impressed by humanity's actions. Across the galaxy, the perception of humans shifted irreversibly. They were no longer merely survivors, they were defenders, innovators, and symbols of resilience. Rourke continued. "Let this day be a lesson. Treachery may exist, but it will not overcome humanity. We protect, we defend, and we endure. The galaxy will remember that humans bring both diplomacy and the power to defend it." Back on GalacticPrime, the cleanup and rebuilding began. Human engineers helped restore damaged infrastructure. Marines assisted in clearing streets, and drones repaired broken energy conduits. The conquered forces had been defeated, but the damage to the city required care. Humanity's focus on reconstruction, not conquest, further cemented their reputation as honorable and disciplined. Captain Rourke observed from the balcony once more. The twin moons reflected off repaired rooftops, and the city slowly returned to life. Citizens walked cautiously yet confidently, knowing humans had protected them. Their trust had been earned and their respect had been given. Lynn approached, standing beside him. "Do you think they'll try again?" she asked. "Perhaps," Rourke replied. "But they know the price of deception now. Humanity has a memory, and we are ready." As the fleet prepared to depart, the remaining Concord ships were monitored closely. Humans left Varen Prime in a controlled formation, ensuring the safety of the planet. The city had survived, the people were safe, and the humans had demonstrated that strength and honor could coexist. History would remember Varen Prime not for the Concord's betrayal, but for humanity's response. On board the Resolute, Captain Rourke allowed himself a moment of reflection. Humanity had faced an ambush intended to destroy them. They had survived, protected innocent lives, and maintained discipline under pressure. They had come in peace, but had shown that peace backed by preparedness was a force no one could underestimate. Above the planet, the stars shimmered in quiet witness to the events below. Humanity's actions would echo across the galaxy for years to come. They had not only defended themselves, they had taught the galaxy a lesson in resilience, intelligence, and honor. Rourke looked out at the horizon, the distant suns of Varen Prime casting warm light across the city. "We came in peace," he murmured, "but we brought the strength to protect it, and the galaxy will remember." Behind him, Lynn and the officers nodded. The humans had won the battle, but they knew the war for trust and respect was ongoing. Still, they were ready for whatever came next. Humanity had proven itself once again, cunning, courageous, and unbroken. As the Resolute and fleet departed Varen Prime, the planet slowly healed. The people rebuilt, inspired by the discipline and courage of humans. Across the stars, a new reputation spread: humanity, a species that combined strength with honor and strategy with moral courage, would not be underestimated again. And somewhere among the distant stars, Captain Rourke smiled faintly. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity had arrived not just with weapons, but with the heart, mind, and resolve to defend peace. End of Part 5 if you want. I can also combine all 5 parts into a single cohesive HFY sci-fi story, fully polished and ready to read like a book-length narrative, keeping the same style and pacing. This would make it easy to share or publish. Do you want me to do that?